I'll do the introduction so that your team can know the local chapter. Hello?
Yes, hello, Josephat. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, yes.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for the introduction. And for the team which is currently joining, as Josephat just iterated, my name is Sewe Wycliffe, and I'm a certified cryptocurrency investigator, and I'm currently working with A&D Forensics. I know for some of the people who are also joining, we have interacted with classes, some of you. I'm not yet certified a fraud examiner, but I'm still an associate, still learning the course. Hopefully, in a few months' time, I'll also become a certified fraud examiner as well. But today, as I just mentioned, I have my colleagues here who have joined me here today. I know for some people who have been reaching out, even during our classes, have been asking me about a lot of crypto and crime. And I told you guys that we're going to work it out and organize something with Josephat so that you get to understand even much better. Allow me also to probably mention, I know for some of you guys have also been asking where are we based, and with A&D Forensics East Africa, we are based at First Avenue Park, which is off Limuru Road in Parklands. That's First Parklands Avenue. If you come to third floor, work style building, that's where you'll find where our offices are located. With me also, I've been joined with my team. I'll probably let them also to do an introduction of themselves. And then from there, we'll be having the guests for today who will be taking us through the main topic. So, Chioma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chioma Owonibi. I'm a blockchain forensic specialist at A&D Forensics headquarters in Nigeria. And at A&D Forensics, we do a lot of blockchain investigations, crypto investigations, also do trainings. I'm also certified to Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, you're done. Okay.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Do we have Abdulafiz, the house? We also have Abdulafiz, and also in our Kenyan East African branch, which was recently established, the A&D Forensics East African branch. We have got also one of our key partners by the name Kakai. I know hopefully as time goes by, he'll be joining us so that also you get to know the team which are currently based in Nairobi as well. So I think with that being said and done, allow me to introduce the guest we'll be taking us through. And for some of you, maybe you have seen us doing some sensitization and awareness in some of the local TV programs that we have here in Kenya. But today, he'll actually dive much deeper in the topic which was mentioned. So allow me to bring Mr. Adedeji. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sewe. Thank you all for having us today's session. Okay, maybe we'll just dive into it to save, so we can go right away. Let me see if I can share my screen. Share entire screen. Open now. Can we see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to today's session. It's going to be brief, and we can introduce ourselves into what is happening. So as fraud examiners, you are meant to follow fraud with its dynamics. You are meant to follow fraud with all changing nature, and you remain yourself as certified fraud examiners as this whole thing evolves. So this morning we'll be looking at cryptocurrency and the criminal elements. This new money and the new crime, what are the challenges and what do fraud examiners supposed to actually know in today's journey? So my name is Adedeji Owonibi, and simply a lot of people just call me Deji. I'm a certified fraud examiner, and I've been certified in 2011. I'm a certified cryptocurrency forensic investigator, certified cryptocurrency investigator by Blockchain Intelligence Group. I'm also chain analysis reactor certified. Of course, I'm a CFE and forensic toolkit FTK. So we have been involved with a lot of this. Of course, fraud and investigation to look at from the beginning. So protection, and I have also an MSc in Cardiff, and also most recently I hold also an MSc in fintech, blockchain, and cryptocurrency from Montpellier Business School in France. So we'll dive into this directly and see how we can save a lot of time. So we'll be looking at cryptocurrency itself. I believe as fraud examiners, because they are new things, so maybe a lot of us have also looked into it, but we'll just do very kind of intro to it. So I want you to drop in the box if you have fair knowledge about cryptocurrency. So you have intermediate, you can do beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So type where you think you belong, so I can frame the way the class will go today. Beginner, if you're an absolute beginner. Intermediate, you have a fair knowledge about what it is. And advanced, you know it, you can investigate it. Please, let's quickly drop it in the chat box. And I want to monitor that to guide how deep or how easy I will take it as we go. So please quickly drop that. I'm monitoring the chat box for some minutes. Okay, Stephen Mugo, intermediate, great. So not beginner, so I know I can speak the same language with Stephen Mugo. Please quickly drop in the chat box. You can even just type B for beginner, I for intermediate, and A for advanced. So Alvis, intermediate, Stephen, Asinwe, intermediate, Kitar, okay, Amuse Ato, advanced, okay, he's an investigator, I believe. Beginner, Anna, Abigail, intermediate, Peter, okay. Beginner, okay. Okay. So I think you have advanced. I've been able to see 2 advanced so far. I have a little of intermediate, and I can see also majority on the beginner's side. Okay, Anthony is advanced user, so he knows it. I believe he has a crypto wallet, and so it's good. Benedict, Hale, McKinnon, beginner, Marlene, Mageto, Celine, Bagoye, okay, Nick Rufus, beginners, okay. So I have more of beginners, few of intermediate from what I'm seeing here, and a few of advanced, maybe 2, 3 advanced users. So that is great. I think we can move. So at least I've been able to get some fair knowledge. So we'll be looking at the introduction to cryptocurrency. We'll look at cryptocurrency and money laundering, anti-money laundering. We'll also look at cryptocurrency versus traditional anti-money laundering investigations, for example. We'll look at a few use cases, crypto theft, crypto kidnap cases, and how, of course, laundering of the funds goes. We'll look at also regulation and legislation, and we can have a few tips for professional development for CFEs that are here. So a little bit of disclaimer. Clearly, what I'm going to be talking today are my opinion, and of course, not that of maybe I'm not a law enforcement, and the training is exclusive for you. We configure it to talk to you based on certified product examiners that you are. And of course, if you have questions, we have the rules. Please just stop me anytime in the course of this if you have any question, and ask so that we can make the class very interactive. So let's introduce ourselves to what digital currency is. And we get a lot of that question, even from regulators, from high-level investigators within the police. We've done a couple of trainings like that for police officers in West Africa, police officers. I'm just returning from from Ghana this morning. And with a lot of interaction with different law enforcement, including Zambia. And there's a lot of questions around what is this digital currency. I saw a law enforcement officer from, I think, Ghana Immigration yesterday was telling me, any money I cannot touch, I don't believe it exists. And that's a very big illusion for any investigator. I had to take my time to educate him about what the new world is, what the new dynamics is. And as immigration and custom officers, if they are still stuck with checking who holds $10,000 before you cross the borders, and they're asking you where you're going with it, fill this form. And I said, they're still living in the past, because young people just have their phone, and possibly you don't even need the phone. You just walk around a billion into a different jurisdiction that you can launder, and you can fund terror. So possibly like that. For we know new dynamics happening and the new currency that is powering this new crime, so that we can be able to actually investigate it. So we'll go, and I favor more financial. I said the virtual asset or digital currency are digital representation of value. They can be digitally traded, can be also digitally transferred, and it can be used for payment or investment purposes. If any digital representation of any value can be traded, one can be transferred to one person to another, can be used for payment, can be used as investment purpose. Simply, that is what the definition of a virtual asset is. And exactly that is what the cryptocurrencies are used for today. So today, in the last check, I think I checked it just this morning, we have over 2.4 million digital currencies in circulation, and that we can do by checking a website called coinmarketcap.com. When you check that at the top, hello, is my screen still visible?
No, it dropped off.
No.
Okay, it's not visible anymore.
Yeah, it's not visible. It dropped off.
Okay, so I go back again. It's technology glitch. So what about now?
Not yet. Probably it's still loading.
I think your network is a problem. At some time, you also your voice is intermittent.
Hello? Is it
Yes,
visible
sir.
now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay, it was lagging before.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So if you look on the screen, the website is called CoinMarketCap, and if you look at the top left corner, you see cryptocurrencies in circulation today are 2.4 million of those cryptocurrencies, and as all examiners, maybe you should be familiar with at least 100, the top 100 maybe. You should know them. You can at least they exist. About 100 maybe. I advise that. For a start, maybe the top 10 or so are clearly what you should know at the back of your feet, of your palm. So these cryptocurrencies are currently traded in over 739 markets, and the market today is over 2.6 trillion US dollars. And of course, Bitcoin this morning is over $72,264 for each one, and that is very instrumental. And so as this is going and growing, then criminal activities are moving smoothly into that because there's a lot of money. So it's simply said, if a criminal just steals 2 Bitcoin, he has stolen about 150,000 US dollars at a go. And as again, just following your M-Pesa and following other ones before you can get those amount of money is possibly going to take him some time. So if you check, and these cryptocurrencies, every time, in fact, the moment we saw this 2.4, so crazy that the numbers are going up on a daily basis. Bitcoin, for example, is the foremost and the most dominant cryptocurrency, and it was first used for transaction to satisfy this Financial Action Task Force definition to buy pizza in 2010. And so the first guy that bought pizza with it, and I think that is celebrated around 22nd of May every year, and that was the day I think the guy used that amount to actually buy pizza. Countless numbers, and this is just 2019, 2000, not too long a distance time, but of course that is what happened. At that time, he valued it at about $0.003, May 2010, and just a few years back. And he said, I want to be delivered pizza. And whoever can do that, I will give him 10,000 people. And of course, Bitcoin at that time, if you value it, is about $30 at 0.003 cents. But today, I checked it yesterday. I used this to check the price, and I said it was 70,000. And today, you can see we just checked the latest, it's $72,000. So today price, for example, if you use 70,000, is about 991 billion Kenyan shillings. So today it still remains the most expensive pizza in the world. He used that to buy that, but that ushered in a use case for digital currency, for Bitcoin, for example, that you can actually use it to transact for payment. You can use it to send to another person. You can use it for investment purposes. And so it has satisfied all the definition of Financial Action Task Force digital currency definition. So of course, because as soon as that happened, of course, a lot of people started speculating with it, a sudden rise, especially in 2017 when it got to about 20,000, and everybody was screaming over top of their roof that this is mighty. But you can see what is happening today with a lot of banks coming into it, with BlackRock coming into it, with a lot of investment, JP Morgan and the likes. And now today is some magical 72,000 US dollars, and it's just the beginning of the high that is going to. So one of the biggest dark web market also gave the first criminal intention and criminal use case to this digital currency at about 2011. And the darknet marketplace is called the Silk Road Marketplace. And of course, it's created by Ross Ulbricht, who is spending about 150 years in jail or thereabout, or maybe even life. So he's still in jail today as we speak. is still in prison. Of course, that particular darknet market created the super use case for criminal element to see, okay, one good thing is that you don't know who is sending it, it's cryptographically hidden, and there's no name attached to it. So it became the suitable money for criminal activities. And that made it so famous that most people today, their use case about Bitcoin is not that purchase of pizza, but actually the use case in the Silk Road itself. All things on the world within the darknet market. Again, the FBI were able to bring in the pieces of what happened in the market, and that gave rise to a lot of crypto investigation techniques that we're going to be talking about today. So what virtual asset is not, one is not a digital representation of Kenyan shilling. It's not a digital representation of South African rand. It's not a digital representation of Ghana cedis. It's not a digital representation of Naira, for example, the Nigerian Naira. So any money that have a digital representation of fiat cannot be seen or defined as virtual asset. And as such, it does not make the Financial Action Task Force definition of virtual asset. So you have stablecoin, of course, that is not a virtual asset. That is stablecoin on its own, is digital currency. And so all those are going to be defined later as we go in. And non-convertible and centralized virtual assets are not virtual assets. You know, they don't define it, they don't fall into the Financial Action Task Force definition. So let's look at these characteristics of Bitcoin. And because we cannot exhaust the 2.4 million different currencies on the market today, we take the Bitcoin, which is their father, and the featured Bitcoin exemplified. You can find that in the rest of them, because the Bitcoin itself is the inspiration that gave rise to thousands and millions today of those cryptocurrencies that we have. One is that it is decentralized, meaning it is not controlled by one central authority. So the Kenyan shilling is controlled by the Kenyan Central Bank. You know, the Nigerian Naira is controlled by the Central Bank of Nigeria. These are centralized entities that oversees the control of the issuance and the burning and the circulation and the stability of those currencies. But in the case of virtual currencies like Bitcoin, for example, it is decentralized, it's not held by one singular place. And that is the controversy really around the Bitcoin itself. And that is why you have a lot of pushback initially by different centralized government until they notice that it's not a virtual currency or digital asset that they can fight. And now they are trying to do some rules around it to make sure that they're able to control what really happens. So now we are having countries like Japan recognizing it as currencies that can be tradable with all legal backing. We have the currencies like the Central African Republic to say, oh, this is our legal tender. And you can have it a T-card, currencies of those countries. If you Google what's this country called today? I want to just remember. You know, it's also part of the currency that is sanctioned within that country to say they are all legal tender. So one other feature is that because there's no central authority, you have swarm of people, you have different people actually contributing, you know, to the code base, because it is mass driven, and that takes us to the third characteristic. It is completely the fusion of mathematics and a lot of zeros and one that makes up, you know, the open source work that made it decentralized because there are different contributors. So it has limited supplies as against your Kenyan shilling today, as against your Naira today, as against your Ghana cedis today. This particular one actually have a complete limit. You know, for example, in Nigeria, a few years back, the last government just spoke to the central bank. Hey, we need some money for some projects, and where taxes are not enough for us to use that. And the central bank, without the knowing of the citizen, continually prints money for the federal government to be spending. And they created over 24 trillion in that Naira. And that brought out a lot of inflation today, that brought out the plummeting of Nigerian Naira. And that happens with centralized currencies like ones controlled by central banks around the world. And so there's no stability. That's why what your Kenyan shilling buys in the last 10 years is not the same amount that it can buy today. And so there's a lot of inflation, there's a lot of devaluation going because nobody knows the limited supply of this currency because it's actually unlimited. So the difference with Bitcoin, why you saw it in 2010 at about 0.03, and now you're getting it in 2024 at $72,000, is because it has what we call a deflationary economic policy built into the codes. Because it has a limited supply of 21 million that will ever exist in the world. And so everybody is trying to get a piece of it. So most people don't even know about it. So as people know about it, they want a piece of it. It can only go up and not down. So it's not deflation. I mean, it's not inflationary, it's deflationary. So it can go down by prices, but no value of it can ever go down across 4 years, 8 years. It can go down for the person that panic sell, but it cannot go down for the person that holds it between 4 years to 8 years. Never, never. It is designed by mass. It is designed, as the open says, it is a decentralized financial system, and it can only go and be going up as more people get to know about it and more people get to come into it, and only 21 million limited supply can ever exist. So that is one of the characteristics. It is borderless, so it is you don't have to go through a lot of checks to say you want to send money to somebody from Kenya, to United States of America, from Kenya to London, for example. It is completely borderless, and a click of button, that person gets value. Another thing is that it is censorship resistant, meaning you cannot block it from being transferred. It is clearly impossible. Before now, again, we'll come to it where there's a leeway for investigators to understand why sub-control can be on it. Still is a struggle. It's cat and rat kind of race, but it's happening, and government is trying to see how they can control it. It's very difficult to do because of its decentralized nature. It's not something you can shut down, and the Nigerian government, believing that they still maintain the powers that central governments used to have before cryptocurrency came into being, for them to put a stop and block it and say it will not happen like we have in the centralized banking system. It is completely impossible for you to block it. So that is the reason why, as they block, more values went into it. So maybe about 18 billion is transacted before, you know, I mean, 18 million of those values are transacted before they are banning it, only for them to wake up that last state has gone to over $60 billion transaction on the rail within Nigeria, even with the banks stopped, that have been stopped to actually touch it. So it's censorship resistance. And so there have to be some ingenious way around it. And that is what we'll be discussing today as investigators, for you to really understand what it is. So it is secured by what we call cryptography. So cryptography is used by the military, is used by cybersecurity specialists to exchange communication. So when you exchange communication and you want your communication to only go to the person that the communication is meant to go to, you use a technique called the cryptography. So cryptography has a two pair of keys we call the public key and the private key cryptography. And so those all public key infrastructure, maybe some of us can decide to begin to go into what is cryptography, just to have some understanding. The detailed course on its own. I had to take that course, of course, to understand what it is. So you can take it. There are a lot of free courses about cryptography, the exchange of keys. But that is what secures digital asset. And that is what actually is the digital asset. And cryptography is not only used for digital asset, it is used to also secure some part of your financial transaction. So that transaction only goes to the account number, to the phone number, to the destination you meant it to go, so people don't divert it, you know, to other uses. Again, it's pseudonymous. It is not anonymous, it is pseudonymous. So you don't know the person behind it, but with some investigative skill behind it, like we'll be discussing, that should be possessed by certified fraud examiners, you're able to unravel who is behind it. So it is not anonymous. And I think I wrote one small article in 2018 when I said Bitcoin, the best friend to law enforcement, because the criminals believe that when you use Bitcoin, it is anonymous, nobody knows you. but actually without knowing that it is pseudonymous. So in case there's some cryptographic numbers, you know, alphanumeric numbers that is used at the account number and the details. But when we investigate deeper, we can actually unravel who is behind it. So that's why it is not anonymous, it is pseudonymous. With detailed investigation, the person behind it can be unraveled. So of course, I've discussed all this. It's distributed, it has thousands of nodes and thousands of users and thousands of people that control it. No central authority. I've explained that. So we are constant trainers to also reserve banks of different countries, like in the Central Bank of Nigeria. We take them training every year, and we take over 60 people cumulatively every year. And they were asking me, how secure is this Bitcoin? Since there's no central authority, how secure? Because Central Bank makes sure that our transactions are secure, that people knows they have a lot of cybersecurity. And I say that is where the central bankers, the traditional finance, get it wrong. So today, like you can see, we have seen over 2.6 trillion US dollars are stored on this so-called network that don't have central authority, that nobody controls it. And how come up to this moment you've not heard that somebody have gone to hack Bitcoin network? And there's money on that network, and nobody hacked it. They don't have a central head office. They don't have the CEO of Bitcoin. They don't have cybersecurity specialist, network intelligence and information security specialists protecting that network. Even with those trillions of dollars running on those networks, nobody does this whole work that I mentioned now, but no criminal have gone to hack it. And that is because it is distributed across thousands and thousands and millions of nodes that are controlling it around the world. So if you take, for example, ABC Bank in Kenya, and if you're a customer of ABC Bank or maybe any of those banks in Kenya, if you're a customer, when you want to check your balance, you have to walk into the banking hall, give to the teller to say, oh, can I check my balance? Or how much is my balance? Or you want to make a withdrawal, they first go to check the ledger, which is centralized maybe somewhere in Nairobi, maybe somewhere that their server is somewhere in Mombasa, for example. And they want to be able to cross to check that ledger. Do you have up to 20,000 Kenyan shillings? Are you asking us to withdraw 10,000 Kenyan shillings? They have to be able to check a centralized place. And if the hacker hijack that centralized data storage place, which is the central server that holds the balances of the bank customers, that will be a disaster for the bank. And that's why you hear that banks are hacked and all that. But because the node for cryptocurrency are decentralized, are distributed, and they are not in one place, therefore, if a hacker wants to hack, you can only hack one, and there are millions that are replicated with the same information, and nothing affects the network. And so that is what gives it the decentralized nature and gives it that. We've discussed the borderless nature of it. Of open source, no one person can change and update it. We talked about it, census resistant, mass based. We talked about it. Cryptography, the asymmetric cryptography, which is the public key and the private key. So I'll take time to explain this. So public key infrastructure is simply a kind of wallet address that you have that you can send to me today for me to send money into it. And when any of you want to do any of the trainings that we'll be talking about, maybe the trainings that we hold, maybe the certified cryptocurrency investigators course that we run at A&D Forensics, or maybe the certified cryptocurrency forensic investigators course that we run for compliance officers of banks and other financial institutions and exchanges, we will need to send you a digital asset dollar-based USDT, USDC address. And that address to us, that is our public key. And that public key today represents your bank account. So you can expose your bank account, you can send it to anybody. Somebody who laying hold of your bank account does not pose any systemic risk to your account and your holding. But what you cannot give out is a private key, which we use to sign our transaction to authorize spending on our wallet, which is equivalent to your password, which is equivalent to your internet banking password, that you can share with anybody. If a hacker lay hold on it, he will withdraw your money. So today, the private key, public key in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrency, is like your account number for the public key and your password to your online banking, your M-Pesa, pins, your everything is that private key that you have. And so that is the cryptographic element that actually and secure it. So of course, I've discussed about the finite supply of Bitcoin, and ever that will ever be minted, that will ever be created, will be 21 million. Of course, no KYC is required for you to have a wallet, but we have some ways with blockchain forensic analytic tool that help us categorize and trace down individuals to be identified. But again, like I said earlier, it is pseudonymous and not anonymous. Let's look at some CFT regulatory concern, which is a concern to us as fraud examiners, which is a concern to us as investigators. So for investigators, we need to know this. We need to understand how these monies are used to facilitate financial crimes, and also how we can actually follow through to be able to investigate it. So, and I don't want your case, I mean, the case that happened to me as a CFE to happen to any one of us. And again, I want to tell you that you're lucky you have a very proactive ACFE chapter in the Kenyan chapter, because you are getting exposed to these new techniques, new crime, new fund, new money, new technology. You're getting exposed to it. And as at the time I got certified and I moved doing my forensic work, there was nothing around this that can educate me. And I was having an assignment to investigate for, I think it was Save the Children International, or I know you said it was. And we're doing an investigation for funds that have been sent, and I was leading the forensic investigation team. And the fraud examiners in my team, I was all the one leading that assignment. And we've done previous job for them in the past, and they were very happy with our forensic reporting. They were very happy with all our documentation and reporting investigative techniques used in the past. And today we're investigating this particular, and we went to different locations where the NGO have distributed those funds. And somehow within the people that are men with the responsibility of doing that, about $20,000 we noticed he confessed, even though we don't have a tool to check whether I went there, but he confessed to us that he bought Bitcoin with those balances. And none of us on the team, not myself as a CFE on the team, none of us as part of the investigative team have any ability to investigate further. And that casted a lot of doubt to our reporting. That casted also a roadblock to our own fundamental questioning and answering where the flow of fund has gone to. And that fundamental experience was what gave birth to what we currently do today. So we currently move our firm to digital asset, cryptocurrency investigation, analytic fraud examiners firm, because we have been able now to learn that. And this happened in 2014. We happened to go, get ourselves trained, get ourselves certified, came back to the African shores and open up this practice to actually face this. And today, we're maybe one among many that does this around the world. And I dare say we are actually very main leaders within African shores that are doing that today, if not the only one. You know, doing this crypto analytic, cryptocurrency investigation, and crypto fraud tracing, you know, for organization, for individual, for law enforcement. And we train them also to make sure they're able to do this. Those are the challenges we went through that we couldn't sail through, and we have to take up the challenge to understand this. And you're lucky today that the ACFE chapter is actually making you go through the new things, the new money in town, the new technology, and you also see how you can also diversify your ACFE practice and fraud examination practice to actually be able to investigate cryptocurrency related crimes. So because the concern to us is that anything that happens, it is anonymously transferred internationally. So I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we are doing a particular investigation for a crypto exchange in Uganda. And 120,000 US dollars was stolen early in the morning, and the founder reached out to me quickly to say this has happened and want it currently investigated. There's a fraud on here, there's a hack that has happened, and want it traced immediately. So immediately we started tracing the same, but the police force is still in the habit of writing papers and writing, sir, for your approval for us to investigate this. The paper and the file to the next divisional officer, to the next investigative officer. And so they are still having the mindset and the belief of the traditional way of investigating. Meanwhile, when this money was hacked, it went in few minutes, in few seconds, it has hit different jurisdiction, it has hit different darknet market, it has hit different mixing technologies, it has splitted the transaction into thousands and thousands of those, and it has collated them in one piece, and I've touched one exchange, touched second exchange, and this thing we're talking about is a space about 10 minutes. And our law enforcement and police officers are still writing files, and they're carrying it to the next desk, and maybe the boss is around and the paper is on the table, and that is clearly they are living in a different world for the existence of digital financial crime that happens today, especially with digital assets. So we have to quickly do an email, to the people involved. They sent us a full report of what is happening, and I think I will share that report or maybe email to Sarah so we can share with the community to see what has happened, their challenges, so we can understand what has happened and how we're able to actually trace it. So inability for law enforcement intervention, because they are still living in the traditional world, so it is very serious concern for them to be able to tame this. So what has happened is that the criminals and the bad elements have taken this arbitrage, knowing that the CFEs don't know it, knowing that the law enforcement don't know it, so they continue to swim in that big wall and make sure that they do their criminalities, knowing that the law enforcement simply do not have an option. They don't know how to investigate them. So we can also look at the darknet market option, and I can use it to make payment, and I've discussed that in Cipro. We have thousands and thousands of those darknet market existing today, and they still use cryptocurrency, and some of them privacy coin, which we'll come into to actually get that. Assessment of sanctions. So for countries like Russia that are sanctioned, countries like Iran that are sanctioned, they still transact with different countries, albeit unknown to them that cryptocurrency are involved, and therefore they evade sanction. Of course, terror financing challenges using crypto asset. I was invited to speak to the command in Nigeria called the Nigerian Army Cyber Warfare Command. It's a total command of the Nigerian Army, where their work is to protect the Nigerian cyberspace from internal, external, hacking, and to protect our infrastructure, our airlines, our power systems. That's their work. They are just military officers that the cyber defense is what they do. They are complete hackers and young officers, captain, majors. All they do is they are computer proficient, they are hacking, and they hack other people that we want to get information from that are denying Nigeria from that. They are supposed to hack into the system and get us that. And they are supposed to also protect the territorial integrity on the cyberspace of Nigeria and our infrastructure, and also mitigate terror financing. And so I went to speak to them, and I challenged them to say, if I want to fund terror today in Nigeria, that I can simply do it by clicking a button on my wallet system and send it to Boko Haram, and they'll be able to carry out a systematic bombing of the Nigerian military without them going through any of the existing financial system. And so I was asking them if they are conversant with the tracing and the investigation of digital asset on how to stop it from going to bad actors, and absolutely that an aspect they are not looking into. And so we had to do a detailed training for them to know that if they want to mitigate terror financing, if the Kenyan defense and intelligence community, if the Kenyan's military want to stop Al-Shabaab from doing the hacks and the bombings they're doing, stopping their financing and breaking their source of funding, they have to know how to stop those funding with cryptocurrencies, because they are currently used to terror financing, all these illicit activities that we talk about. So today, as a method of payment, they're using it for scam. As CFEs, we should be able to trace it. They're using it, like I talked about, for terror financing. They're using it to evade sanctions. They use it for ransomware payment, which we'll look at one sample example in 2010, thereabout, in Nigeria, I think 2018, I think, or 19, where that particular cryptocurrency was actually requested by some kidnappers as ransom payment by a daughter of one politician that they kidnapped in Nigeria. And I was involved with investigating the flow of that fund, and it was crazy to see. As a matter of fact, we're just looking at the payment of 1 Bitcoin. At that time, around 2018, 2019, it was about 10,000. Again, that will tell you the investment part of Bitcoin. 2018, 2019, $10,000. Today, this morning, we saw it at 72,000. No investment returns like that for the new generation that understand how they put their money to use. So we can also look at darknet marketplace. There are also greater part where it is used. Child abuse materials are also very That's what simple a transaction that they use. For drug traffickers, of course, they use Bitcoin. They come to every country, they hibernate, they buy properties. Are you not clear with that when it's coming from? It's coming from drugs, it's coming from cryptocurrency. Of course, hacking, like I just mentioned, they hack different exchanges, and even countries. Countries target, countrywide crypto exchanges and hack them. And for example, the Lazarus Group that is funded by the North Korean government, they are completely state-sponsored hackers that go to steal cryptocurrencies from other people and also fund the activities of that country. So that one is to tune of billions that they use to actually come. So operating illegal money service banks, people use cryptocurrency to do that. Then ICO, if you know, initial market offering, IPO, initial public offering, that is done by businesses, by banks, by corporate entities in the capital market. So for the cryptocurrency, they call it initial coin offering, where people just mint token into the space and they generate money. Some chaps that I know last week generated over 2.6 million in 10 minutes with their project. And so they don't go to who is the licensed bank, who is the betrayal bank, who is this bank, who is this settlement bank, who is the issuers. They have to get a SEC license for them to be able to do that IPO. They don't have to. This has liberalized, and a lot of criminals have gone into that space to do a lot of exit scam. They write to you that they are going to do a big project, and only for them to exit and also leave everyone, in total shock. So as at 2021, and of course I will have updated this, over 14 billion, and I believe with the latest chain analysis report is about 21 billion has gone into scams. So that's to tell us how much. Money laundering, a lot of them today is about, I think, 13.4 billion US dollars as the last report. Also, there's a lot of riots that are happening. For money laundering, that is classical. A lot of people are using that to launder money. And so here we can see over 270 service deposited address drive 55% of the money laundering in cryptocurrency. So it means they are known by investigators. So money laundering is also done via mixers. And so via mixers, via darknet market, to Binance, to different exchanges, then they wash it, of course, is a new way to actually make dirty money very, very clean. You have a lot of blackmail, a lot of people telling you, if you don't do this, I will release a tape to show you are watching porn. I've received a lot of that, just criminals looking for people. And they will tell you, oh, we just saw you are watching porn on your screen, and we have scrapped it. Law enforcement feels it is great, and I mean, it is very serious crime. We saw you are also watching children pornography. If you don't want us to take it further, I mean, law enforcement, pay this bit of, Bitcoin into this wallet so that I will not expose it. If not, I will take it to your boss. I will take it to where a lot of blackmail, to make sure that is done. So they just, sweep it across many wallets. So if that person is guilty that he has done that kind of thing, he will be thinking that was true, and he will pay them that money, and they'll use it to blackmail and get that. Of course, I talked about ransomware. That is also very recent. Of course, you can see here the Indian police officer arrested over kidnapping crypto trader for 40 million. So a lot of people know that cryptocurrency people make a lot of money. You can imagine if you have just 0.003 Bitcoin in 2010, you will be having a lot of 1 Bitcoin today, which is 72,000. So a lot of people have, like that guy that bought for 10,000. Some of young people that were playing with computers that time have thousands and thousands of those coins, and today they are the billionaires of today. So if people identify them, they go to kidnap them and ask them to pay money. And this has happened in Kenya, in India. Of course, the police is investigating that. So you can imagine the police officers, they don't even know how to trace it. Majority, they have to go through a lot of training. Venezuela citizen adopted and Bitcoin ransom demanded. That happened in Venezuela. 100 BTC for the son of a crypto investor. So for knowing that you have any connection with crypto, now you are a smooth target to abductors and people that will come to you, of course, to say they are hijacking you, pay Bitcoin to this, because the big money that can easily move, and it's not easy to trace them. Of course, hacks, that is happening a lot. A lot of hacks, and these are all the hacks, a sample of hacks that will be able to follow through. Darknet market is a lot of things. You buy drugs, you buy stolen password, you buy stolen credit cards, you do a lot of things, and that is thriving. So the future of cryptocurrency crime, as at the time I gave this last presentation, I was talking about Wasabi, and I think Wasabi has currently been banned and be labeled as people should not use it, but it's a mixer. So what it does is that it stands as a bridge, so that because they know that there are tools for fraud examiners and investigators to use to get to the criminals that are doing that particular crime, they come in, they put in like a mixer. So just take, for example, take transactions as your tomatoes. Each transaction is one tomato. And you'll be able to see the tomato because they have been tagged. It's like your blender. You put different tomatoes, which is like different transaction, into the blender, and they blend it. When they squeeze it, they give every portion 1 watt of tomato that he contributed. So what it means is that they pick a lot of transactions from different places, and they mix it so that they can obfuscate trace by law enforcement, by fraud examiners, so you don't be able to trace it to the end. And so those are what the mixers do. And today is a very, very serious challenge to cryptocurrency. Investigators and fraud examiners have been to know that there are challenges. It's not as simple as we were saying it. Then there's chain hopping, quick conversion. So what we noticed is that that money that was stolen was quickly converted to different other currencies, move into different currencies, exchange into different currencies, move into different wallets, move into different hubs, and it's so complex and difficult to investigate. You have to concentrate. And finally, it landed in some of the challenges. So there are some coins that are not so easily. In fact, they promise you privacy, meaning they obfuscate your trace. They don't show the transaction as they go through, because they notice that some gaps within Bitcoin, because we call it pseudonymous. They want to make their own anonymous, so you don't see it. And this particular crime that I talked about in Uganda actually landed in Monero, which we are still following today, to know where the funds go to and who is actually the beneficiary. Of course, then the future is peer-to-peer transaction. Peer-to-peer transaction is also being charged by what we call the travel rule. And the travel rule is a new rule that said if you're transacting cryptocurrency so that people can be able to see, law enforcement can be able to know what is happening, you must send your details, and you must also share the detail of who is receiving. So now this rule has not gone all over the world. I think Europe is starting that, and a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges are shutting down. They don't want to be caught in the web. So it's coming to Africa, and every cryptocurrency you transact, you must share this, and it's called the travel rule. But today, the challenge will be the arbitrage. So countries like Kenya that are not implementing the travel rule today, countries like Nigeria that are not implementing the travel rule today, will be an arbitrage for criminals to be able to do that. And they will come to those countries and be doing their transaction from those countries, because there's no law, there's no regulatory guidance, there's no travel rule enforcement, there's no financial intelligence following that in those countries. So they create that arbitrage, and criminals will be sweeping to those countries because they know that the law enforcement and the fraud examiners don't have the capacity, and so they'll go to hibernate and leverage on that arbitrage in those countries. So countries will naturally be tuned to where they think there's less capacity, there's less knowledge, there's no rule about it, and they go there to hibernate to do their criminality. So you must not allow, that your ecosystem or your country to be used for those criminal activities, and that's why fraud examiners like that of Kenyan chapter have to be trained to make sure that there are those gatekeepers that are advising regulators, advising law enforcement, working jointly with lawyers for litigation support to make sure that these skills are bringing to bear. So what is the difference between cryptocurrency investigation and the investigation in the traditional world? And I've said that a bit in my presentation, because the investigation has to be real time. So with the tools we use today, we can actually tag a transaction and make sure that as it moves from one place to another, as the criminal moves, we are informed. So it's a real-time investigation, as against the one you have in the file, and you begin to look at the file. Last week, Wednesday, we're invited by the Interpol, in Nigeria to actually give them some support, because there's a case we were following about a table over 600,000 US dollars, and this particular case has to connect 3 different countries: Nigeria, Ghana, and Dubai, UAE. And because of that, we have to involve the Interpol to do that. But unfortunately, the Interpol is still using bow and arrow to fight in a world where there's a real-time digital movement of this money. So they have a crime file. So when we went there to visit, we saw them bringing out the paper to say, oh, this is where we are with the investigation. You can see that the Commissioner of Police has meditated here. You can see that the Inspector General has meditated here. They were showing us the file, but I was very angry that this is where these guys are. You know, that a whole lot of things have moved on. So we had no option after this meeting to say, hey, we need to help you guys. And last time, the leadership of the Interpol actually invited us to see how we can give them support, because again, they are fighting bow and arrow in the days of missile. You are in the days of Ferrari, you are coming with turbo engine, with a normal combustion engine car. You're not going to compete really, and the criminals are far ahead of you. So information sharing is also very key, and I think that is happening in cryptocurrency today. Blockchain analytic phase is not a face-to-face onboarding, so you have a lot of people that the crypto exchanges are onboarding. Criminals have been onboarded, a lot of things, but there are tools and there are law enforcement, enforcement that is happening to make it a bit good. So if you check this guideline, I see in connection with like Al-Qasim Brigade soliciting currency donation. So you can see that terrorists, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram will be asking people, don't send me money using M-Pesa. They will see me. Don't send me money using any bank. Send me money using cryptocurrency. It is easier. But the good thing is that we as cryptocurrency, as certified fraud examiners, we have to be able to actually investigate this anytime where you call upon. You know, again, our profession has been challenged. Now we have to up our game to be investigators of this cryptocurrency to make sure we're able to help, because there's a lot of jobs that are coming out. And I see a lot of that will be springing out of Kenya, and we need a lot of capacity to be built. We need your firms to be able to tackle and advise whatever we're doing around here. So we have presence both in Kenya, we have in Ghana for West Africa that's covering a lot of that. So we're giving a lot of this support and a lot of face-to-face training. I think that of Kenya is coming up soon. And some of you should take advantage to actually cut your teeth and warn your expertise around that. So the red flags that I think we have to look at is normally foreign entities, if they are involved in the whole thing in those crimes that were mentioned, cash deposits, they are all red flags within exchanges, postage shipping transactions, large volume transaction with virtual asset service providers, that's the meaning of VAPs, virtual asset service providers, email address connected to P2P crypto forum. Of course, that is one of the things pieces we put together to identify the users of wallet. Transaction with high risk exchanges is a red flag for some of us that want to do compliance within our exchanges, or we're giving compliance advisory to different businesses, especially digital asset businesses. Those are all the things we can advise them to look out for. Transaction not in line with KYC, customers KYC. So if a customer say, look, I'm a low-income person, I'm doing millions and millions on Kenyan shilling week in, week out, and that should be flagged. And that's a normal thing we do as CFEs within our practice. So regulations and legislation, let's look at that. So there are regulations today that we should be abreast of as certified fraud examiners. So I've talked about the Financial Task Force, but it is great for us to look at the travel rule. And this travel rule is going to do a whole lot of good for investigators. And I mentioned that some countries have started implementing, some countries don't know about it or have never heard about it. So the travel rule is an initiative by the Financial Task Force. Excuse me. They noticed that there has been a lot of cryptocurrency transactions that are happening. There's a lot of most of these negative, flows of funds across, illicit flow of funds across different jurisdictions. And they say, hey, hang on a minute. If we are the global money laundering watch and something new, there's a new technology and there will be new crime, and we have to be able to define the rules on how this happens. So in 2019, they also made an announcement to the global cryptocurrency ecosystem to say we don't know how this can be done, but we want to know that each person transacting cryptocurrency, the originator, detail, and the purpose for that transfer, any amount above $1,000 must be seen. We have to incorporate it in that transaction, and the recipient detail has to be given for any exchange that want to facilitate that transaction. But I can tell you for free that that thing is completely impossible on the blockchain. Blockchain does not support that. It is not possible to happen. It only happens with Swift networks, and that is already going on with the traditional finance. But in this digital asset ecosystem and the virtual asset world, it is practically impossible. And so when they were told that this is not possible, they threw it back to the community to say, the way you get it done is your business. But this has to be done if cryptocurrency have to go into mainstream adoption, if banks have to use it, if other investment bodies like JP Morgan, like Deutsche Bank, like all these banks like BlackRock that just recently got into it. This must be respected so that countries can take it normally and legally and can be able to. You can see that that will break the original nature, that will break the original feature that we have talked about. And we worked on this for many months. So we came around about 100 technical experts around the world to say this standard has to be created. And the way we create it is our business. And Financial Action Task Force want us to create it. So the Binance of this were Coinbase, Global Digital Finance, a lot of people that are doing mega things around the world. We came together and we did that in France, the headquarters of ATF. And that time I was in France. And so I was also a member of the Global Digital Finance, which is today GBBC. And I was sitting on the AML CFT working group. And so all of us came in together, about 130 technical experts around the world, from the US, from Hong Kong, from Singapore, from everywhere, from UK, and maybe I think I was the only one from the African region to be part of that. And again, I was just privileged to be part of it because I was sitting on Global Digital Finance AML CFT working group. But we worked out and came up with a standard we call IVMS 101, the travel rule standard in 2019. And that travel rule standard is supposed to be incorporated by every exchange that will be operating in every jurisdiction in the world. Every OTC, every wallet system, even if it's a private wallet, they have to incorporate the identifiable information about who is sending, for what purpose, and who is receiving. And that standard is supposed to be incorporated. And that standard today is being incorporated. A lot of solutions also now, if you Google travel rule solution, you see countless solutions from members that are part of us that came out to drive out their solutions, into different solutions that they have in the market. And so this solution today are being used by exchanges, they are being used by financial intelligence unit of different countries to know who is sending transaction and wire transfers, and that make it a bit easier for investigators to actually put names and details around who is doing different transactions. So that's that about travel rule. Of course, same identification requirement like wire transfers for SWIFT. Crypto exchanges don't have technology infrastructure to do that. Of course, that's the challenge. Less compliance easily identify and penalize risks of criminal finding underground alternative for arbitrage, like I mentioned, that we don't have in Nairobi, Kenya, and Nigeria. We are not implementing that yet. But again, it's something that naturally everybody doing cryptocurrency have to go and implement travel going forward. So our recommended approach is that all SEC have to register with SEC Nigeria for Nigeria, Capital Market Authority in Kenya, for example. They have to meet all the exchanges, including policies, effectiveness review, record keeping requirement, learn about working with crypto transaction, and build a crypto compliance and investigation capability. This is a clear consulting assignment that comes for ACFEs and their practice. And today, if you're a chartered accountant that is also qualified as ACFE, or you're just simply an ACFE that just qualified, compliance is your responsibility for banks. And I can tell you, I'm currently even overwhelmed with banks calling to say, how do we go about complying now that the central bank have said we can serve cryptocurrency exchanges? How do you go about the compliance? How do you go about the money laundering capabilities and risks? How do you go about the investigation in case something's happened? And this is a big job that is cut out for certified for examiners. And so if you are not getting a lot of calls and assignment before now, I think this is a segment you have to also put in your capacity and build a new expertise around this and make sure that your practice begin to fly from here, because this is highly demanded. So you have the whole world as your own space to give this consulting and compliance assignment and investigative support to police, to law enforcement, to the defense intelligence, to capital market, to the banks, to the commercial bank, to the central bank, which I say we train them. Even this year I was trying to say, look, I'm tired, I don't want to train again, because we have to come and be training them each time. And so alternatives are not there. And that is why we need to build capacity across Africa for a lot of these capacities to be there for us to actually serve our different countries. So what are the best ways, and we're coming to the end now, what are the best ways for you to become a crypto compliance and investigative practitioner as an ACFE? We think you should clearly join our Certified Cryptocurrency Compliance Specialist course, CCCS. We call it 3CS certification. Or if you just want to cut your teeth around clearly investigating cryptocurrencies, we advise that you do the Certified Cryptocurrency Investigators course that is done by the Blockchain Intelligence Group out of Vancouver, Canada, and we jointly do face-to-face on-the-ground training for 5 days, and for 4 days you'll be in the class. 3 days you'll be in the class running through the modules that you take for exam. 4th day you do practical investigations, you create investigations and sign on to investigative tools that you can do in the practical lab. And the 5th day, you sit down on your own and answer to your name like ACFE exam and take the certification exam, but you must get at least an 80%. But I guarantee all the people we have been training, only one person has ever failed. And I think that person, I guarantee, he didn't reach or didn't follow the class. So, of course, you can also reach out to different communities, like our community in Kenya. We have also community where after trainings like this, we put you in a community where you can ask questions, you can do everything, you can connect, you can also make sure you do that. And on your own, you can do your own research by using different softwares. You can take different addresses. I met a guy in in Ghana that told me now he just tell all the exchanges, if you have any issues, send to me, because we train him and is using different tools to check where the flow of funds goes to. And so now he has become so entrenched that people that want to do transaction with any wallet, they send to him to say, please, can you help us check, is this wallet okay? Or is it associated with any criminal activity, so we don't involve with it? And that's the kind of thing that a community can actually and show enthusiasm in this new field to be able to build a new space. So cryptocurrency resources for next follow-up, of course, you have a lot of them. YouTube, Bitcoin 99, our website is there for you. We have some few guys, Andres Antonopoulos, crypto certification, C4 coin, a lot of them. We have a lot of this, and we're going to share these credentials with you. You click them, universities where you can do actually that if you want to do different tools in the market, and also our certified cryptocurrency investigations that will introduce you to all that. So I think that will be that. Meetup, of course, we have different meetups and different conferences. He has told you our address at the work style, and we hold a lot of webinars together like this one that is happening, and we encourage you that you also meet up. So you can meet Sewe right here. I'm also in Kenya in a few weeks. I just left not quite long, but our office is located in that same address you called, and we're in the work style 3rd floor. And you can also, of course, do a WhatsApp to me or an email to me, or you check us out on our website for any further inquiry. So thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate, and we welcome your questions.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, so the floor is open.
Yes, I think Samuel Adedeji, you can unmute and ask your question. Samuel Adedeji, you have a question.
Yes. Now, Deji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now, kindly just come do a recap on what is it called? Math-based characteristics.
Say again.
Just come again. Kindly come again on the characteristics bit. You talked about math-based. Then secondly, also
Talk about the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin characteristic.
Yes. You talked about it being math-based. Then when you come to the issue of financial crime concerns crypto.
Math-based. Can you clarify that?
Come again?
You say I said it has math-based.
Math-based.
I can't remember.
Math-based characteristics of Bitcoin.
Oh, okay, mathematics. Okay, mathematics. Okay, mathematics based. Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Then there is also a second one on the financial crime concerns.
Okay.
There is the bit of pseudonymous international transfers. Then lastly, future of crypto crimes, beg you to come again on the issue to do the privacy coins.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 questions from Samuel and Dati. One is why is it mathematics based, which is math based that we talked about. So the creation of Bitcoin itself is simply just some codes, some numbers, some zeros and one that creates it. So normally no one among them come into existence without some mathematical calculations. And the mathematical calculations is like a game theory. So, and I'll give you an example. So when Bitcoin was started by a pseudonymous individual, maybe a country, maybe a group of companies, maybe a group of people, maybe one individual, no one knows, maybe a man or a female. I'm looking towards US for creating it anyway, but we don't have any proof. But, you know, when it started, so people have to be the one to issue it into the market, meaning there are people minting it. And this minting like we mint Kenyan shilling by paper that's minted by the Kenyan Central Bank. It is minted by different individuals, and it can be you, it can be me, it can be anybody that can mint it. And those people minting it are called miners. So they have to go through some mathematical competition between themselves. So because, again, it is distributed, and we are so many of us that need it, because what happens is that the minting is that when we meet that game theory, game kind of mathematical competition between ourselves, whoever wins is given fresh Bitcoin. And that is how it is created. That is the minting, that is the creation, that is the production of Bitcoin into the market, and which will stop by the year 2140. 2140, it will stop, it will end. And that time, 21 million would have been minted. And it's math-based, calculated every 10 minutes, a coin is minted. Every 10 minutes, a coin is minted. Every 10 minutes. And we know where it is. We know where the supply is going to. And every 4 years, the amount of minting is reduced by half. And so a lot of questions are embedded in the math-based question that you asked. So in 2009, and 2009, 10, 11, 12, 4 years, every person that makes this puzzle, that makes this game theory, that makes this mathematical competition. So why are we doing this mathematical competition? Remember the example I gave earlier, that if you want to go to a bank and you want to cash 10,000 Kenyan shilling, and this 10,000 Kenyan shilling, the teller, whoever you're meeting at the bank, we need to check to say, do Samuel and Dati have a balance worth 10,000 or more to be able to cash out his 10,000 Kenyan shilling? What he does is to go to check. So in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin specifically, that process of checking is that mathematical computation by all the people having the balance, which is the distributed ledger. Because everybody, thousands, millions of the Bitcoin miners or the would-be miners all have record about Samuel and Dati's balance on the ledger. And what they're doing when you say, I need 10,000 Kenyan shilling, all the miners are calculating to see who is the fastest to get to check the account and get back the report that Samuel and Dati have 10,000 Kenyan shilling. So that mathematical competition is the math base. So as soon as you are doing that, you're doing that the first to confirm, and everybody can see that, oh, he's the first to confirm. They will give me around 2009 to up to 2010, they will dash me for free 50 Bitcoin. Calculate it, the price for it today. So, and this game is done every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, there's a collection of transactions that comes in a box called block, like a block. So Samuel and that is transaction, Roti Isaac, Solomon Kasinga, Sylvia Cliff, Kamal James, all of us are requesting for it to be kept in a block, and now totally there will be a cryptographic hash that is a signature to say these are the transactions we have. Then people begin to do competition. So as they do competition, the first to approve. So meaning the first person will say, yes, Samuel and Dati have what he said, Samuel Kasinga have, or Tony does not have, or Kamal James have. This person is the miner that is approving that transaction. The first to do that is rewarded with 50 Bitcoin. So after 2020, which is 4 years from 2009, it's reduced to 25 Bitcoin. So you can see how the supply into the economy is reducing as against what the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Central Bank of Kenya is doing. They are pushing more of those paper into the community and devaluing the money. This particular one is actually reducing the supply every 4 years, every 4 years. So the last one happened in 2020 during that Ebola. I mean, that is why, I mean, during that COVID, that is why the price went as high as 65 that time. Do you know what? 2020 to 2024, this is another halving year, and it's happening next month. It's happening in May. And that supply is going to be cut into half again. And there's going to be another cycle. And you know, the highest price last time was 65. The highest price now nobody knows. I think it's going to be 100 plus. It's going to be $120,000 after the halving, whatever it is. Then it will take a cyclical round. The price will go down and take a hibernation about 4 years. And in 2028, they cut another supply into half. And it continues like that until 2140, when there's no more supply of Bitcoin. And then 21 million will have been mined. And these are all mass-based. You know, so I don't know if that answered the mass-based calculation. And the second part of the question has to do with the cryptography, I mean the financial crime cross-border nature of it and being pseudonymous. So it is pseudonymous because, again, you don't know who is doing it. You don't know who is sending it, except you do a proper investigation and you follow with the right tools in the market today to be able to attach some personal identifiable information to that. And so that is why it is pseudonymous. It's not anonymous. And so what makes it anonymous is actually now some of them, the privacy coin, which is the last question you asked. The privacy coins are actually coins that are look at the features of what Bitcoin has and why law enforcement and some other people are able to track it. And so they're making some clearly privacy focused solutions protocol, and to cut it into half, to rejoin it together, to, you know, a lot, private sign, private sign, private, a lot of things like that, make it difficult for law enforcement. It makes it just difficult, but not impossible. Because I tell people, if you think you have used an anonymous way to hide, and I recommend that we all investigators should look at this particular book. Let me see. This particular book, you can see here, it says the hiding from the internet. This is the book by Michael Basel. Nobody can hide from the internet. And this is the law enforcement, like open source investigation by the open source intelligence techniques. So with this, you will be able to put a lot of identifiable information together, because he will have touched network, he will have touched his phone, he will have touched his computer, he will have done all that. The only thing that is anonymous about those transactions will be the private coin he used. When you harness all this information together, you can actually know who is doing that. Yes, I don't know if that answers that.
Thank you. Well answered.
Okay.
Maybe I can
Any further question?
But I just wanted to drop them a reminder, especially for those people who have not yet checked out from the chat page. We have shared the feedback form. We also love to hear some of the insights in regards to how the training has been, and also for any other query, we have also shared how you can address with regards to the same. Thank you. A reminder.
Okay, Abigail, just a minute. I can wrap. Abigail, you're up now. Ask your question.
Okay, I wanted to ask what specific topics or aspects you guys will be covering in the upcoming course.
Say again.
What specific topics or aspects you'll be covering in the upcoming course?
So the upcoming course is a certification course, right? So it takes you from the beginning, what cryptocurrency is. It takes you through different historic use of cryptocurrency for criminal activities. It takes you different investigative techniques to the cryptocurrency itself. It takes you through all the different logics on how to investigate different types of cryptocurrency. It also shows you different tools in the market to investigating it and actually giving you direct access to those tools for your examples, for your assignments, and you do that practical in the 4th day. And the 5th day, you take the certification exam, which is 5 modules of different courses that have been covered in the class. And then you become a CCI, Certified Cryptocurrency Investigator.
Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Someone asked, are the books available online? I think that came from Anthony Odeka.
I think it should be online. Just check it. Open Source Intelligence Techniques by Michael Bazel. So you can. There are two combinations. One is how is open source, how you cannot hide from the internet, and another one is teaching you completely how to hide your tracks on the internet. And I think we should know the two as investigators.
Thank you, sir. Solomon Kissinger, 1 minute, please. You can unmute yourself. Solomon.
Thank you for such a great presentation. It's very enriching. Adedeji had mentioned that cryptocurrency is borderless. At the same time, he mentioned that there have been rules that have been adopted by a couple of countries, except Kenya and a number of countries in Africa, in regard to travel rules. My question is, if cryptocurrency is borderless, why do we have travel rules? Thank you.
Yeah, Solomon. So, as a matter of fact, we have travel rule because it is borderless. You know, because it is borderless. Yeah, it's supposed to be borderless. And when you say it is borderless, it means that anybody can pick it at anywhere and just send to anywhere in any part of the world. So imagine that for criminal activities. It's going to enhance criminal gangs to quickly and swiftly discharge their criminal activities. Hit a bank in one country, and then the whole of the enjoyment and the buying and the melting and the cleaning and washing of that money will happen in another jurisdiction. And so that is why the travel rule is saying, no problem, you can transfer your money, but who are you that transferred it? What are you transferring it for? So it's still borderless, you can send it to anybody, but that person receiving it also will need to put his statement on the blockchain. And so we created a standard for that to be possible. And that is where, just to aid fraud examiners like you, law enforcement like you, attorneys that are doing a lot of things to bring criminal back actors to justice. And that is why travel rule is very essential.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I think we've exhausted the questions. Mr. Sewa, over to you so we can wrap up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Adedeji, and for such a wonderful and insightful presentation. I know we have got a team probably we joined when when the presentations were ongoing. Maybe just to remind you of where our offices are located. We are based at the First Park Avenue. That is First Parklands Avenue. That's off Limuru Road in Parklands. That's where most of the time you will get in touch with me and interact and even discuss how you can become a certified crypto investigator and also matters involving crypto as well. So I think with that being said and done, I had mentioned about the feedback form which I've shared for those people who didn't get a glimpse to check on our the chat box. So from there also you'll be able to share with us some of the general insights or some of the information or the knowledge which you have gained from the entire training. I do believe we still have a couple of so many insightful webinars in store for you guys, and this is just the beginning. So with that being said and done, I don't know whether we have Mr. Josephat, the call. Mr. Josephat?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Quickly.
Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sewe. My team, our facilitators, Mr. Sewe, we are so grateful for the insight. Thank you for creating this time. Thank you for creating this webinar. Let me know when you'd like us to have another one. I have seen several questions which have been raised by our members. That is the cost, the outline, what is expected, whether it's virtual, whether it's physical classes. Please share with us. Also, the other thing, I think you are recording the session. Please share with us so that we can share with our members and also who are not able to participate. All the said and done, I'm so grateful. Feel free anytime you'd like to work with our chapter, that is the Kenya chapter. We would like to collaborate in this and also work with you. Thank you very much, and thank you, and have a blessed afternoon. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Please remember to fill the form so we can have the detail. We can reach out to you quickly. Yes, we need to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please fill the forms, then we can always follow up with the questions that you may have. Thank you so much. So we're going to continue our different activities for today. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day too.